It was a terrific autumn day in the 100-acre wood. Hoo-hoo! Hoo-hoo! Tigger happily called, bouncing through the freshly fallen leaves. It's so wonderful to be the one and only me. In fact, Tigger felt so wonderful that he decided to share his bounciness with his good friend Winnie the Pooh. How do you do, Pooh? Tigger greeted him. You wanna go bouncing with me? Well, I would, Pooh answered, except that I must count my honey pots for winter. Yuck! Tigger replied, accidentally stepping into one. I will never understand why Poohs like this icky stuff. Well, anyway, for now. So Tigger bounced over to Piglet's house. Hiya, Piglet, I Paul, Tigger called. What say you and I do a little bouncing? But Piglet was too busy collecting firewood for the winter. Tigger saw Kanga next, but Kanga also had too much work to do to go bouncing. What Tigger didn't realize was that Roo would have loved to go bouncing with him, but by the time Roo came running out of the house, Tigger had gone. Tigger sat down on a large rock. Why would anyone not want to bounce? He wondered. Tigger was sure someone would want to bounce with him, so he bounced off the rock and back into the forest. He didn't notice that the rock had come loose. It rolled down the hill and landed crash right on the top of Yara's house. AR was okay, but his house wasn't. It was stuck under the rock. It wasn't long before everyone but Tigger came round to help. Tigger still didn't know what had happened. Rabbit came up with a plan to move the rock. Everyone helped him construct a funny-looking device. No one really knew how it worked, but Rabbit was sure it would. They pushed and pulled, but the rock didn't budge. Hello, you blokes, called Tigger, springing into the group. Anyone up for a little bouncing? We have no time for such nonsense, Rabbit cried. There's work to do. What? Moving that old thing? Tigger asked, examining the rock. Not a problem. All you need is a little bouncing. You think bouncing will move this boulder? Said the rabbit. Ha ha, it's almost amusing. Here, I will show ya, Tigger answered. He wound himself like a giant spring and boy, unleashed his biggest bounce ever. The rock went flying. Unfortunately, so did Eeyore and all his friends around and around. They tumbled and stumbled until finally splat. They landed in the mud. Now that's out of the way, Tigger said to his muddy buddies. Who's up for a little fun type bouncing? Just look at this mess, Rabbit shouted angrily. Everything's ruined and all you can think about is bouncing? Well, yeah, Tigger innocently answered. That's what Tiggers do best. But we're not Tiggers, Pooh reminded him gently. Yeah, no one wants to bounce with me, Tigger asked sadly. He walked off into the forest all alone. Who needs yam anyway? Tigger exclaimed. I will just bounce by myself with nobody else. But Tigger, Roo protested, joining him. Aren't there other Tiggers? I have a mama. Don't you have a family somewhere too? A family? Tigger had never thought of such a thing before. It was a thrilling idea. A family full of Tiggers? Yes, say, he asked excitedly, bouncing up and down. But Tigger didn't know where to find his family, so he and Roo went to ask Owl. While Owl rambled on about family trees, Tigger accidentally knocked some pictures off the wall. Roo tried to help his friend by coughing loudly to distract Owl, while Tigger tried to put the pictures back in place. Then suddenly, while looking at the wall, Tigger had an idea. He would search for his own family tree, a tree that would be gigantical, stripedy, and full of tigers. And so, with Roo's help, Tigger searched 100-acre wood for a tree filled with tigers. He searched high, he searched low, he searched near, he searched far. Yahoo! Tigger called family, hello! For hour after weary hour, the two looked but found nothing. The other residents of the 100-acre wood were busy too. They were still helping one another prepare for winter. But when Pooh, Piglet, and Eeyore found out that Tigger was looking for his family, they decided to help him instead. But when Pooh, Piglet, and Eeyore found out that Tigger was looking out for his family, they decided to help him instead. So off they went on their own quest for Tiggers. Meanwhile, Tigger and Drew had almost given up. The tired twosome trudged back to Tigger's house. Where aren't those Tiggers anyway? Tigger said with a sigh. We have looked every which and where, not to mention right over there, and not a single stripedy tree in sight. And just think, Tigger continued, if there were other Tiggers, we could all bounce the oopy dooper dooper, loopy dooper dooper, alley ooper bounce. Could you teach it to me? Begged Roo. I'm a real good bouncer, please. That's ridiculous, Tigger answered. No offense, Roo boy, but I think you're a little on the smallish side of the tiny for that. Roo tried the bounce anyway, but crushed things fell all around him. Tigger noticed a heart-shaped locket and picked it up. He eagerly looked inside the locket to see if there was a family picture. But the locket was empty, completely Tiggerless. Sighed Tigger. How am I supposed to find my family now? Then Tigger had a great idea. He would send his family a letter and invite them to his house. Roo eagerly helped his pal. When they had finished, they sent off Tigger's letter. Then they sat down to wait for a reply. Meanwhile, Pooh, Piglet, and Ears weren't having much luck looking for Tigger's family. Eeyore found some bouncy animals, but they weren't the right sort of Tiggers. Pooh found some stripedy animals in a tree. They reminded him of honeybees. It turned out they were honeybees at angry honeybees. All the while, Tigger and Roo waited for an answer to Tigger's letter. Soon the first snow of winters began to fall. Roo became worried about his downhearted Paul, so one night he talked to his mother, Kanga. The next morning, Kanga and Roo gathered the gang together to write a pretty letter from Tigger's family. Dear Tigger, all began writing. Now, what else shall it say? How about dress warmly? Kanga suggested. Yes, Pooh agreed, and eat well. Stay safe and sound, advised Piglet. Keep smiling, Ear added. We're always there for you, Roo said. Wishing you all the best, all concluded, signed your family. That night, they secretly placed the letter in Tigger's main box. Hoo 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 hoo! Tigger gleefully shouted the next day, look what I've got! A letter from my very own family. Everyone smiled. Tigger was happy. Their plan was working. And the bestest part of all this is that they are coming to see me tomorrow, Tigger added. Everyone stopped smiling. They never wrote that. Where exactly does it say that? Asked Owl. With Tigger's Yeah, have to read between the lines, Tigger explained. Tigger was so excited that his friends didn't have the heart to tell him the truth. Luckily, Roo came up with another plan. They would all dress up like Tiggers and pretend to be Tigger's family. The next day, the pretended Tiggers knocked on his door. Surprise! They shouted when Tigger opened the door. Tigger couldn't believe his eyes. Come on in! He eagerly invited her. There's a lot of catching up and we gotta do. Hey, who's up for some family type fun and games? Tigger offered. I knew. Let's do what Tiggers do best, bouncing. Let's do the oope de duper, loope de looper, alley ooper bounce, cried Drew. But when Drew tried the bounce, not only did he crash again, but his mask all fell off. Tigger saw that his family of Tiggers were really his 100-acre wood friends. His feelings were hurt. We only wanted to help, explained Pooh. That's all right, replied Tigger, sniffling. Somewhere out there is my family, and I'm gonna find them. So ta-ta forever. Tigger left the house and entered the cold forest all alone. The next morning, a terrible blizzard hit the 100-acre wood. Without Tigger, winter seemed much colder and much more unfriendly. Who pleaded Drew, entering the bear's house. We've got to find Tigger. It's dangerous out there. So Pooh gently suggested that he, Piglet, Eeyore, Rabbit, and Drew form an expedition to find their missing friend. Meanwhile, Tigger tramped through the deep snow, still searching for his family tree. Suddenly, he saw the biggest, tallest, grandest tree ever. I found it, he shouted, bouncing up the branches. Hello, is anybody home? He bounced from branch to branch looking for Tiggers, but he didn't find a single one. At the same time, Roo, Pooh, Piglet, Rabbit, and Eeyore bravely fought the freezing weather as they searched for Tigger. Tigger! Tigger! They called through the howling wind. Where are you? Where are you? But Tigger didn't hear them. He sat on a lone branch and moaned. The big tree was empty. There was no family of Tiggers. Maybe they forgot I was coming, he said. Just then Tigger spotted something far below him. It was his friends. Hey, he cried as soon as he had bounced down from the tree. What are you guys doing here? Suddenly there came a loud, low, rumbling sound. It was an avalanche. Snow rolled down the mountainside. Come on, hurry up, Tigger shouted, bouncing his friends up the tree to safety. No time for dawdling. Just when it seemed that everyone was safe, Tigger was swept away in the swirling snow. I will save you, Tigger, Roo cried. I will save you, Tigger, Roo cried. There was only one way to save Tigger. Roo wound himself up and unleashed the mightiest whoop-de-dooper, loop-de-looper, alley-ooper, bonzai walk. He grabbed Tigger and pulled him to safety. Hoo-hoo, hoo-hoo, yeah, did it, Drew. Tigger cheered. Yeah, bounced just as good as any Tigger could. Later, when everyone was safely home, Tigger held a party for his pals. Ahem, ahum, he proclaimed on this most occasional occasion, my first is ever family reunion. I would like to present each of you a present. Tigger gave Eeyore a new house, Pooh some honey, Piglet firewood, and for Rabbit he promised always to watch where he was bouncing. Last but not least, Tigger gave Roo the heart-shaped locket, and inside the locket, Tigger put a picture of his very own family. His real family. The family Tigger had discovered he had all along.